If I'm doing outreach to a content creator, there's some specific criteria that I'm looking for. So one,
what are the risks of crowdfunding that someone really does need to kind of take seriously?
content creators, tap into the relationship you have with your audience, what you've been good at with storytelling and mobilizing your audience, and pair that with a good idea and perhaps some enticing rewards, and you should ultimately see some really strong success. The biggest struggle of the creator middle class is that they're not in that 0.01%, the Mr. Beast and Emma Chamberlains of the world, and they may perhaps never get there, and that's okay. So, what platforms are out there that are not serving as merely just venues, right, but are actually serving as business partners? If you want something, closed mouth, don't get fed, speak up, create content, get visible.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Creator Ops Podcast. I'm your host, Thomas Schreiber. The goal of this podcast is to educate you on becoming a great operator in the creator economy. On today's episode, I talk with Brett Dashevsky, who is the former head of creators at Kickstarter. Kickstarter is a crowdfunding platform where creators can seek funding for projects by offering rewards to those who pledge support. The funds are only released if the project reaches its funding goal. Brett developed and executed Kickstarter's content creator strategy, guiding top creators in transforming their audiences into engaged backers. He partnered with some of the biggest names in digital media, including Hank Green, Solar Balls, Brent Underwood, Jack Carlini, and more. Brett is also the founder of Creator Economy NYC. Through curated events, Brett is building the premier network for content creators, marketers, and industry leaders at the intersection of media, tech, and business. During our conversation, we dive deep into crowdfunding, including understanding the structure of a crowdfunding campaign, how to know if your community is strong enough for crowdfunding, the risks and responsibilities most creators don't think about, deciding how much to raise and when to launch, building a compelling reward structure, and lastly, the biggest mistakes creators make when crowdfunding. And now for my conversation with Brett Dashevsky. When it comes to raising money as a creator, you've got a few options. You've got venture capital, you got private equity, taking a loan, bootstrapping, or using a crowdfunding platform like Kickstarter. What are the benefits, in your opinion, of crowdfunding for creators versus other avenues?
Crowdfunding is not a novel idea. It's been around for some time now. And of course, Kickstarter has pretty much become the premier, or the Kleenex of the space when it comes to crowdfunding, which is pretty great in terms of how they've built a brand in that space. And now with content creators, content creators have built these audiences. They've invested a lot of time, energy, and maybe, of course, money into building these audiences. And when they're recognizing what's next for them to grow as a brand and to build perhaps a sustainable business, the option tends to be okay, maybe I can launch a physical product, right? Or maybe I want to level up and get a new studio, things like that, or fan wish fulfillment. A lot of my audience has been saying, oh, we want to see a long film from you, or oh, we'd love for you to create your own backpack, right? And you've had this audience. And so it makes sense that instead of investing money up front or raising venture capital for trying to bring this project to life, you might as well tap into those who have been your biggest fans for so long, which is your audience. And most likely, if you present it properly in front of them, they're going to be excited to get involved and back this thing. And so we kind of say that you want to frame your crowdfund as an invitation to your audience to come and help bring an idea to life. And it's not a donation. There is an exchange there. And that tends to be something that's really strong in terms of a route for funding a project, as well as testing proof of concept. Because you may go and launch a project by yourself that becomes an absolute flop. And here you are with a bunch of units of keyboards or something on your hands that perhaps you could have properly ordered through a Kickstarter, and then from there slowly grew out knowing, okay, we have a great upfront capital, we have a lot of these folks that are using the product, how can we now continue to iterate and build something that's more sustainable or develop new versions of it down the line?
And when you're looking at a creator, say they come to you and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing a crowdfunding campaign, what types of questions are you asking them right off the bat? And what are you looking at in terms of their community to see if it's a deep enough community and a strong enough community in order for this to be successful?
If I'm doing outreach to a content creator, there's some specific criteria that I'm looking for. So one, I'm really looking for creators with strong parasocial relationships with their audience. I find that that's best in terms of communicating a message, which again is all about Kickstarter, is storytelling. You're communicating a message. Here's what we want to create. Here's how it's going to benefit you or society, whatever it might be. And so I look for that strong parasocial relationship. And a lot of times that parasocial relationship is found in YouTubers and streamers who are creating long form content, long form storytelling, where you kind of have this lock in between the audience and the creator for an extended period of time, where they almost feel as though they know the creator and they're friends with them. So that when the creator comes out and is launching a project or something like that, the audience member tends to feel a sense of maybe pride or excitement and a higher propensity to buy or contribute because they have this deep relationship. So that's certainly one area. The other element is, have you as a creator sold or kind of like did any messaging around something before? Do you have products you've launched in the past that you have successfully been able to get in front of your audience and see conversion? Or have you had successful partnerships with brands in the past where you have understood how to convert? Because again, it all comes down to the messaging and storytelling of something. Sure, Kickstarter in its own right has its platform and community that will help boost your project and get backers, even if you've never even talked about it to your audience. But when you're a content creator, you are on third base when it comes to crowdfunding, given the fact that you do have an audience. And so understanding how to sell and that previous experience selling is helpful. And then another element is like, are you on Patreon? Do you have folks that are already paying you and are what you would consider top fans? Because Patreon is like complementary to Kickstarter, where you can tap into them to bring something to life and go to them first to give them early access and reward your fans there, and then create something that expands even larger beyond your core audience. So I would say those are really three key elements we look for, as well as an idea that perhaps is maybe in a realm of what has been done on Kickstarter and has fared well, like a tabletop game or books or film. Is something that is like a green light, I would say, in terms of like, okay, this sounds something that could do well. But of course, we're always open to experimentation. The experimentation element will depend upon how strong those first three elements are in terms of the storytelling and platform you're on, and that parasocial element.
And what risks as a creator, what are the risks of the crowdfunding that, someone really does need to kind of take seriously and say, hey, like this is a risk, this could happen, but I also need to make sure that I'm not making, X, Y, and Z mistake.
When you're launching on Kickstarter and with crowdfunding, it's important to note that it is something that is serious and requires your attention. It's not something you can just kind of go out there in a lackadaisical manner and expect that you're going to see performance there. So a lot of times we want to prime content creators knowing that, like, look, you need a project manager to help run this. You need to really lean into your own promotional efforts. Here's what we've seen work. So there's that element of first kind of like the lay of the land is that launching a crowdfunding campaign requires hard work. And that hard work tends to be very rewarding at the end of the campaign. The risks, of course, are that Kickstarter is an all or nothing platform. So you either hit the goal that you set or you don't collect any money. We've had some campaigns that have launched recently with creators where they were raising like $235,000. Well, that's a lot of money. And we want to ensure that, like, look, you may not hit that, but we have full confidence that you will, and you have confidence in yourself. But just know that if you don't hit your goal by the time the campaign ends, right, it's in a set amount of time, you don't get any funds. No one who backs credit cards are charged, and your project is deemed unsuccessful. Let's reevaluate and maybe come back even stronger for a different campaign. Fortunately, all the creator campaigns I've worked with have been successful. They've passed their goal, which has been really amazing to see and exciting to see those projects come to life. But those are the real risks. You also want to make sure that you can fulfill on the promises that you are putting forward in terms of what you want to deliver on. So if you say you're going to launch a tabletop game by XYZ time, or a book, or this design and technology product, you have people who have backed or have pre-bought, and it's important to note that you should be updating them routinely. So Kickstarter has really strong update features that you can communicate with your backers and community there. But that's another element to think about.
How do you advise creators when they are setting those goals as far as the funding amount and then the timing? How do you kind of advise on that? What should be the amount? Obviously, there's a lot of things in terms of cost and the actual development of the product, but then there's also the timing element too.
Yeah, so in general, on average, most Kickstarter campaigns are 30 days, which we find is a strong amount of time for a project to be launched, that it generates enough FOMO and there's enough of a gamification to see the project be successful. It really depends on a project to project basis. But if you're launching a campaign and it's 45 or 60 days, you may find that like just the fact that it's going really long doesn't really create for an opportunity to drive a lot of hype. And that like that 30-day mark is like, let's go 30 days to hit our goal. We saw Hank Green launch. He did 15 days and was able to raise upwards of $500,000. That's super exciting. So in general, 30 days tends to be a solid sweet spot. Of course, it depends if the project, when it is in the year. So if someone's launching a project in December, we might say, hey, make this project 45 days. So you have that extension post holidays, because that's when we see things slow down. And then in terms of raise, well, that really depends. For some content creators, the raise isn't necessarily the core element, but it is kind of hyping up the project and making it as big as it can be. And so they'll choose a lighter goal that they know they can achieve, but is still going to drive excitement. And they know that their type of project is going to do, in the hundreds of thousands, but they're going to be able to collect that. And there's some other creators who have launched legitimate goals of numbers they need to actually launch the damn thing. So, for example, we saw a content creator named Elizabeth Zaroff, who runs a channel called The Charismatic Voice. She launched like a research and documentary project that really required a certain amount to be raised in order to bring the project to life. And that was the $235,000. And she was able to do that. And so that was a project that was like, we either hit this or it's not coming to life. We're not going to do like, oh, we only need 20K and then we'll figure it out. It's like, no, we really want to get there. So let's do it. And they rallied their community and beyond to back that project and get excited about it. And they were a successful project, which was really awesome to see.
Is there a minimum amount that if someone's like, hey, I've only got maybe a couple 100,000 subs on YouTube and I've got a really small niche, and they say, hey, I only want to raise, X amount, 10, 20 grand. Do you see that happen? Is that a mistake to go small?
Well, I think in that case, you'll have to evaluate, am I better off doing this on my own, knowing there's a fixed amount that I want to raise? Or, coming to Kickstarter, I might say like the idea of it is like, go big or go home, right? And if that's not your mindset, then perhaps it's not the proper platform to do something on. So I was actually talking to a creator a bit back who wanted to do something really cool in the realm of coffee. They're a coffee content creator, and they wanted to launch like a magazine that was made out of recycled coffee grounds, which is really cool, great content and product alignment. But they only wanted to sell a fixed amount. And so they made the decision that we're probably better off just doing this on our own channels for now. And then when we want to do something bigger and like, maybe we need a solid amount of funding for something or a big idea we want to make a big splash with, we'll come to Kickstarter. So again, it really depends. And for me, I'm looking to work with larger content creators, larger YouTubers, and trying to bring some larger projects to life that, of course, then hopefully will funnel in some medium size or that middle class of content creators who see the value in Kickstarter.
Let's go back to those two projects you mentioned, Hank Green and then Elizabeth. What do you think made those projects so successful? Obviously, Hank Green is a legend on YouTube. Elizabeth Zaroff, I think, has got a little over 1.5 million on YouTube. Very different types of channels. But what were those elements that really made it successful?
Yeah, so with Elizabeth Zaroff and the Charismatic Voice, they did a really amazing job at building momentum for the project, which I would say is the most important element in crowdfunding, is building momentum. In that before the actual project went live, they were talking about the project, they were hyping it up, they were teasing it, and they were getting their audience excited about what it is they're going to be launching and kind of rallying them so that when the doors opened, they came sprinting in like it was Black Friday. And so that is a hugely important element. And when working with content creators, I always talk about the hype buildup is super important. And with Kickstarter, you can have like a pre-launch page that kind of tells the story of the project, and people can get notified when the project ultimately launches. So that's a really big element. You can reward some of your early audience members or community to that. Hey, maybe I'll buy like a gold coin. I saw Brent Underwood from a Ghost Town Living, another content creator who launched, did something like that, where it's like buy a $2 coin. And then you'll be the first to know when XYZ goes live and maybe get special pricing. You're just driving hype and really doing community building. And you're mobilizing, most importantly, an audience and a community around an idea, around something you want to bring to life. And who better to do that than content creators who mobilize their audience all the time around their content? So do that and now make something really cool come to life. The Charismatic Voice also like did a live stream on the day of their launch, which I thought was super exciting. So they did like a 6-hour live stream, doing live where we're at in the goals. We're going to hit certain stretch goals and milestones. And that succeeded really well because Elizabeth already had a strong parasocial relationship with her audience, that you had people joining, feeling like we're hanging out, we're helping Elizabeth. Her husband joined, like really cool elements there. And I think with Hank, in the same vein, he did a good job at storytelling the project. He created a video about it, and did created some lore that made a lot of sense. That was really important. And so it's like, content creators, tap into the relationship you have with your audience and what you've been good at with storytelling and mobilizing your audience, and pair that with a good idea and perhaps some enticing rewards, and you should ultimately see some really strong success when you pair that with the power of Kickstarter.
And you mentioned rewards. What type of rewards resonate with backers, and maybe what are some of those mistakes that you see? People think that it's this type of reward that's going to crush, but it's really maybe something else.
Yeah. I mean, again, it varies from project to project. We've worked with some like D&D and RPG type of content creators who can really see success with a lot of different types of rewards, because there's just such a diehard, strong fan base and community that even goes beyond their core audience. But some mistakes are pricing incorrectly. So perhaps like the lowest tier is maybe too expensive. So you're kind of preventing folks from getting involved at an entry level. Some other elements are not making the rewards enticing enough or packaged well enough that you can ultimately convince someone to go from a $25 backing to $100. And again, the whole element of the rewards is that you're tapping into the depths of your fandom, the depths of the excitement for this project, and you want to reflect that in where the rewards are going. And you can do rewards all the way up into $10,000, but you better make for damn sure that the $10,000 reward is something that's so enticing. So we saw a content creator group, Viva La Dirt League, launch a couple of years back, and they launched something to basically revamp their like content studio, which is really unique, really interesting. And they had a $10,000 reward tier, or I think even higher, and they had people back them, which was just like shows how intense the fandom is for them, and what was really making them excited. And so those to me are elements to really figure out, mistakes to avoid with mismatch pricing, or you're not bundling enough together. And that's when you really have to start to think of yourself as a business, like you're selling a product, right? What would my audience or those that are coming across my project be enticed to get behind?
And if a creator has never asked for money up until their launch this campaign, you think that's a good idea, a bad idea? Would you have liked to see a little bit more proof of concept that, hey, this audience is willing to pay for at least something before you go and ask them and do a crowdfunding?
Yeah, I mean, the worst answer ever is it depends. I think that there's certainly a caution there, and like a way to handhold a bit more in terms of here's how to do it. But like my mindset is, well, you got to start somewhere, and if this is the where you're starting, great. What an amazing way to start. And so it's not like you need to have the checkbox of you've sold something before to your audience, or promoted something to your audience before, or have rallied them behind a message. It's just, can you be a good storyteller? And is your idea good enough, to make a splash? And is it something you care enough about? That's the most important thing. You just got to care about the damn thing. And if you're a content creator who doesn't care about what you're launching from a crowdfunding standpoint, from a Kickstarter standpoint, well, you're likely not going to see the success that you'd like to see. It really does require care and proper attention from you. And so all the projects and creators that we've worked with have seen success and have passed their fundraising goals because they've cared. They've put in the effort to rally people around their idea. And that is how you make something successful. If you're a content creator who's not using Kickstarter and still is launching a product, well, you want to see that project be successful, you got to promote the hell out of it, and also do so in a way that maybe feels like you're rallying people, you're mobilizing people. Come and support this thing that I'm building. We have a relationship. This is something that I've made for you.
What have been maybe some of the craziest like promotional or marketing things that you've seen people on Kickstarter do, creators on Kickstarter do? I know you mentioned the live stream, really hammering it home before it actually launches, but anything just that comes to mind that is pretty crazy in terms of the promotional side?
Oh, that's a good question. I wish I came better prepared with those examples. But yeah, I mean, the live stream is great. A lot of creators get unique with what we call stretch goals, which is basically, if we hit XYZ goal by this time period, we're going to add this thing to the project, right? So we've seen creators who maybe have launched card games, or like if we hit we've already crossed our goal of 200K, but now if we hit 300K, we're going to add like gold pieces into the game, right? Or we're going to add this color version of the tech accessory that we're building, or we're going to now extend the short film by 15 minutes, or we're going to add this actor cameo in it. Those are some really cool ways to get the people who have backed to now start to like network effect promote it. And they're like, hey, here's this project, because they are already involved. They're like, I want to see this happen, so I'm going to help promote it. So that is where like you kind of really tap into community, the many element, where it's not just you and connecting with individual folks. It's like now the audience is connecting with their audiences and wanting to promote the project, which gets really exciting. So yeah, it's just really about being a savvy marketer and like doing what you do best as a content creator is creating content. So it's like a no-brainer in terms of what needs to be done. Just be you, and really work to storytell and mobilize communities and audiences around what it is that you're launching.
Yeah, and it's almost the kind of the Logan Paul effect of, hey, if you're going to launch something, talk about it like crazy, especially for those 30 days. I mean, everyone I think kind of sees Logan and he promotes Prime left and right at every single turn, but it doesn't feel like an ad, right? It's his actual product. It's his brand. It's just part of his content now. And I feel like similar to when you've got this opportunity for the crowdfunding, promote the hell out of it. Do what you need to do in order to hit your goal. In terms of some of those marketing tactics, are you encouraging creators to make sure you've got your email list, make sure you've got your, if you've got a newsletter, hit that up as much as you can, really hit every channel, but not just YouTube and Instagram, but some of those other channels as well?
Yeah, I mean, I highly encourage content creators to tap into their owned audiences, their owned channels. So if you have a newsletter list, that's like the number one place to be, helping to promote this, because those are the people who are most leaned in, that perhaps you're communicating with most often. If you have a Discord channel, that's really important. A project that just launched from a channel called Solar Balls, launched a card game. They had a really strong Discord channel and were promoting in there. They were able to raise $150,000 for this project, which is awesome, super exciting. So yeah, tapping into your own channels is great. And also a benefit of Kickstarter is that you can own your audience of those who back your project. So once the project is a success, well, you'll get access to all the emails and information of those that back your project, so that you can continue to engage with them. And then perhaps you come back for another one, and you have those folks who have backed something in the past.
Absolutely. What tool or maybe feature of Kickstarter do you think creators are just not utilizing enough, or they don't know enough about, or not taking advantage of?
So we're working on a ton of new product features that is really going to strengthen our product and strengthen the ability for creators of all sizes to see success on the platform, and just really continue with our mission of bringing creative projects to life. So one feature that I know we've implemented is called late pledges. So basically, like after a campaign ends, if you have late pledges enabled, people who maybe are late to the campaign can still come and ultimately like get involved and back your project. So yes, it technically closed, but we still enable some folks to come in and get behind it, which for you is more revenue that's captured, and of course another fan that's involved. And one of the benefits of that is we say that like the first 72 hours and like the last 72 hours of a project are some of the most crucial points of the campaign. And so if you're putting all this effort into promoting the last 72 hours of the project, and of course with how social media and all the platforms work, some people might not see that until another 72 hours later. And at that point, the campaign might be done. So we still want to enable you to capture that tail end of folks who are coming across your messaging for however long the late pledges are open for. That is a feature that I think is really useful. And then on the beginning end of the campaign, on launch pages now, your pre-launch pages, we enable you to tell and do more of a storyboard, whereas before it was a bit more static. Now you can like tell the story early, and entice people to want to get notified when the project goes live. So that adds another element there.
As funding and these types of platforms continue to evolve over the creator economy, how do you think this helps the creator middle class? I know this is something you're really passionate about. You've got the mega creators, you got the Mr. Beasts, right? Those guys. But how do you think this helps creator middle class evolve?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, the biggest struggle of the creator middle class is that, sure, a lot of them might be doing quite well, the upper middle class of such, but they're not in that like 0.01% of like the Mr. Beast and Emma Chamberlains of the world, and they may perhaps never get there, and that's okay. So, what platforms are out there that are not serving as merely just venues, right, but are actually serving as business partners? And so, my vision is that Kickstarter can actually serve as a business partner to a lot of these content creators with helping them ideate, helping them with some project planning and support, like which we do, and maybe connecting them with the right partners for, hey, you want to launch XYZ. You may not know product partners to help bring that to life, but we do, and connecting them with those folks to ultimately enable them to bring these ideas to life. And I see a future with the creator economy is going to be a lot more focused on not mass appeal, but more niche appeal. And that you're going to see projects that launch that perhaps won't necessarily be so broad in mass, like I guess Feastables or a Prime, right? And those are the CPG areas, but like maybe something more unique. So we've seen a content creator named Simone Gertz. She launched like foldable coat hangers. She launched like a habit calendar. And then from there, she's built out like a whole store of all these unique projects. Those aren't mass appeal things, but they cater to her audience in like a niche area, and it enables her to make decent income and perhaps have projects that she's proud are out there. That is what I think we're going to see more of, and that Kickstarter is going to be a strong fuel for that. And not to mention, Kickstarter still allows you to see success without having to have such a massive audience. Again, right now I'm focused on those are the larger audience, but there still is that middle class success where Kickstarter has a discoverability mechanism to help those creators get seen and perhaps can see strong success. Like we just had a creator named Jack Howard who I would say he's creator middle class, a couple 100,000 subscribers on YouTube and on Instagram. So he has a strong audience, and he was hesitant about launching his short film to launch funds for on Kickstarter. And we spoke, and he felt convinced, and through the power of him and his promotion, which he was doing a great job mobilizing his audiences and us with what we were doing, he was able to ultimately raise upwards of, I think, 40 or 50K for his project, but originally it was like 20K. And now he gets to go make the project and then some, which is super exciting. And who knows what that short film will then lead to, right? And you can kind of trace back, like, oh, if I never launched that on Kickstarter, I wouldn't be where I am today now making a feature film. And that's what I'm excited to see down the line as we kind of lean more into the creator space, which I think is going to take time, but us remaining a strong presence there.
Do you have a couple creators on your list that they're the kind of the white whales? Who's on the top of your list as far as you'd love to actually get get them on Kickstarter? Is there a couple people out there?
Well, to speak it into existence, I'm a huge fan of Mark Rober. I think that he would absolutely crush with some engineering type of or maker project on the platform. I think PewDiePie could be really interesting in terms of what he could launch. Hank Green was always a top of mine, and he launched. I hope to see him launch again, which could be really exciting. Of course, I mean, there's controversy surrounding Mr. Beast right now, but I still think that like he would be a really great mainstream play of what could be launched on the platform, along with even like a Logan Paul or like a KSI. I think there's also a lot that can be from some of the streamers, like Ludwig. Eric is another YouTuber who I think could see success. Some of the Yes Theory folks, or some of the old timer YouTubers like Smosh or Mythical come onto the platform. Jester is another basketball content creator. Dude Perfect could be really cool. So just like taking some of these more mainstream folks that could launch something really exciting, make a big splash, I think could be really great. And maybe even us considering like some white label options for Kickstarter, something that we've been noodling on and have some tech behind, but perhaps that hasn't been ideated too much or we've seen much there. But I see that being a future of ours.
Let's talk about Creator NYC and kind of how you're building that up. And really something that we've talked about on the show is just the need for more community within the creator economy, more great operators, more people. Tell us about what you're building there and your future for that company.
Yeah, so I started Creator Economy NYC in January of 2023 as just simply a bar meetup that I was itching for more in real life experiences. In hindsight, of course, I felt that there was a need, and we're going to start to see a level up in people craving in real life stuff. It kind of coincided with this loneliness epidemic that was being experienced, and in this new and emerging industry, I knew that what I needed was folks to kind of interact with and talk about for idea exchange and just general networking. And, if I'm feeling that way, there are certainly others that are in the same boat that want that. And so with that, I set a goal to just host one event or meetup per month. And flash forward 2 years, we're approaching 2 years now. we've hit that goal. We have hosted one event per month, sometimes two, which is just absolutely insane to me. I start to see the wrinkles forming on my forehead. But I've been using retinol, sponsored by Kiehl's, which has been helping. But man, it's been a lot of work, but it's been incredibly rewarding to bring people together. I mean, it's been rewarding on myself. It's what put me in touch with Kickstarter and led to my current job and some other ventures that I'm working on. It's also enabled me to meet some of the most incredible, most talented, most smart, kind people that just feels like such an amazing gift from doing this. And also to have been able to connect those people with other smart, kind individuals. And so to hear when someone approaches me and says, "Oh, I met my videographer at your event, or I met my new business partner at your event," it's like, at my event that happened. It's like, yeah, I wanted to let you know, and it's that to me is the most amazing reward of what it is, or inspiring folks that want to do this in their own cities. And speaking of which, I mean, in terms of the growth of Creator Economy NYC, the core focus will continue to be in real life connection and fostering that in the creator economy. It's kind of like an irony that the creator economy it kind of was birthed out of the internet and solely takes place on the internet. So we're trying to bring this in real life element that is so powerful. There is nothing more powerful than an in real life connection. There's nothing more powerful than a brand being activated in real life. Like, sure, you can get in front of a video and get X number of views and people seeing your product. But man, when you're getting routine interaction with people in real life, there's that human element that is so strong. And with AI becoming so prolific, people want the human touch physically in real life. So that is continuing. And then thinking about ways to build out our media properties. How can we tell more stories around the New York City creator economy, both through our newsletter that goes out once a week and on social media. So I've been enlisting some support there because I can do it, but I'm only one person. So how can I enlist other folks to help us elevate that and find the stories that perhaps I'm not getting full visual view in? And then building out more premium membership component. So kind of funneling deeper with the community in terms of, you pay a monthly membership to be part of a deeper club of Creator Economy NYC that fosters even deeper connections is something that's really important. And then from there, actually expanding into different cities and chapterizing the thing feels like a natural extension. So I'm excited to see where that comes, hoping to have great news on that in 2025 and bringing what we've built in New York City to other markets that have a strong creator economy foothold.
Someone who wants to get involved in the creator economy in general, whether it's with Creator Economy NYC or helping creators manage, operate their businesses, what advice do you give to someone who wants to be in the creator economy just in general? They don't want to be an actual creator, but they want to be maybe the behind the scenes person. They want to do what you're doing in terms of helping people get their funding goals. What advice do you give to them?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a common misconception that to be in the creator space, you need to be a creator yourself. I'd say it's certainly fun and helps you empathize with the creator space if you are creating content yourself. I know when I was working at my past company, when I was basically like leading creator management, in order for me to empathize with the creators, I was creating my own content on LinkedIn and Twitter and video to like understand what it's like to be in the creative process and what the struggles are like. And it's really fucking hard, right? So I have all admiration for video content creators who are piecing that together, folks who are writing newsletters, all of those elements. I come from the newsletter world and wrote and never actually wrote newsletters. And until I started writing my own newsletter, can you truly empathize with what it takes to be a creative? And you're doing this along with the podcast element and what you planning for this. And we met earlier and what you're going to do to edit this. There's a lot there. And with that, there's a lot of support that's needed for content creators. So if you're someone who brings a good strategy or operational skill set, well, there's a huge need for operators in the creator economy. A lot of creators are great at creating content. They're not great at building their business, or they simply don't have time to. So there's something you can fill in. There's a lot of companies that are out there, like a Kickstarter, like Creator Economy NYC, right? Like the Teachables of the world, like the Notions of the world that have roles that enable you to interact with content creators. Those are things that you can lean into. And it's almost like, oh, you want to work with talent in Hollywood. It's like, well, you may not want to be the talent yourself, but there's a lot of supporting roles. And look, a rising tide lifts all boats in this industry, in this economy, creator economy. And the more support and talent that's pouring into this space, the more rapid it's going to grow and the stronger it's going to be, and everyone can benefit from that. So, I really encourage folks to just kind of look at what's out there, try things, and if there's something out there that you're looking for that's not visible, create it yourself, and become that solopreneur. There's so many tools and resources now that enable you to do that. And I think Creator Economy NYC is a prime example. How can I operate in this space? And something I saw as a gap was like, we need more in real life connection. We need more fostering and events and learning. And how can I be the curator and organizer and producer of that?
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to, I think you did this with Hank Green, but don't be afraid to shoot your shot cold email wise. Put yourself out there, because I think the creator economy is still so young, and I've heard so many people getting manager jobs or right-hand man jobs or editor jobs, just a cold email to a creator that then blew up 3 years later. I mean, it's crazy. We just talked to Nick DiGiovanni, his manager, he's a massive food
Zach?
creator. Yeah, Zach Blank. Yeah.
Great guy.
And he told the story of just, he just sent Nick a cold email and just said, "Hey, I'd love to help you." And this was while he was still in school. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just now he's helped Nick grow the channel from 2 to 20 million subs. And it's a great example.
It's incredible. Speaking of which, Nick DiGiovanni is another Kickstarter shout out of mine.
Oh, nice.
I think he would crush launching something. Nonetheless, I absolutely agree. Shoot your shot. I like to say, like, you only get one life. You only, really get to be in your 20s or 30s or 40s once, wherever you are in your age, and make the most of it. The worst that can happen is someone says no or not right now, and that only builds you stronger for whoever you reach out to next, because you already did it. So just do the 0 to 1 and create your own luck. That's really it. Be in positions where those spontaneity aspects happen. I always encourage folks to go to networking events. It's something my dad always ingrained in me. Just go to the event, show up. You never know what's going to happen. And I'll tell you what, every single event or networking thing that I was hesitant about going to that I went, I always left being like, that was worth it going. I ended up meeting someone, and it leads to one thing to the next. So that is really important, is to shoot your shot. And if you want something, closed mouth, don't get fed, speak up, create content, get visible. That is what you need to succeed. And there's no perfect time to do it than in an emerging industry where there is a lot that is changing and a lot that is evolving. And you kind of just catch on to the plane as it's taking off.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Creator Ops Podcast. If you're interested in chatting more about the creator economy, send me a message on LinkedIn or email me at thomas@creatoropsmedia.com.